Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. And it's always great to welcome back one of South Africa's absolute superstars, this time in the world of golf, Ashley Bahai. Ashley, welcome to the show once again. How are you? And thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Always nice to be catching up with you, and it's always ahead of really big golf tournaments, of course. And today you're in the Pro-Am. Tomorrow it gets underway. The AIG Open, formerly known as the British Open. We'll still just call it the British Open. You're in Wales. First of all, what's the weather like?
So far this week, we've been pretty lucky with the weather. The course Royal Call is on the coast, so it's going to be windy, but it's been dry. Expecting a little rain for the first round, but other than that, it looks like it's going to be clear for the week.
Okay, we'll talk about the tournament in a short while's time, but let's catch up with how things have gone since last we chatted. You healthy? You fit?
I'm healthy and fit now. I went through an injury, unfortunately, at the beginning of the year where I had a grade 1 tear in my MCL in my knee and had to take 6 weeks out. But right now, yeah, I'm healthy and fit and ready to go.
So how difficult is it to get back into, excuse the pun, the swing of things after
hmm
you catch a bit of an injury like that?
Yeah, it is tough, because with anything, tendencies will come into place because you're not completely trusting the area that's been injured. And that's kind of what happened since I came back. I got off to a nice start in the season, came back from the injury, and I was still just protecting my left knee, and some bad habits creeped into my swing. But I was back in South Africa last week and saw my coach, and we hopefully have ironed a few things out. And, now that everything is healthy, I just need to learn to trust it again and get back into good habits.
So what do you actually do differently when you come back to South Africa to go through stuff with your coach? I mean, you're a professional golfer who's won a major. I mean,
Mm.
and many other golf tournaments. It's like almost saying like when you get into the Springbok rugby team, the coach coaches you. He doesn't really coach you at that point in your career. You're already at that level of the game.
So you're at a high level, but there's always learning. I think also when you've not been playing well, it's kind of like, all right, let's just go back to the beginning, go back to the fundamentals, make sure, all the fundamentals are right, and then go from there. And that's kind of what we did, just a little bit of a reset last week. We looked at times when I was swinging at my best and be like, where were we then to now? And compare a little bit to try to get back to that point.
And is it kind of a mental reset to come back home and spend some time here in South Africa, I guess, where you're most familiar with the surroundings and the people and friends and family and so on?
Oh, definitely. Anytime I come home, it like rejuvenates me, spending time with friends and family, and just anytime I leave. It's always busy, but you feel refreshed and very happy once you leave.
I know we've spoken about this before, the rigors of traveling and getting around hotel rooms and all the rest of it. Do you ever get used to it?
You do get used to it. I say that it's my normal and our normal out here. I think when we are off for too long, it's kind of like we get itchy feet. So it's the life we know. Sure, by the end of the year, you're tired of it and you'd like to be in one place. But once the off season comes and you're there for more than 6 weeks, you get itchy feet and you want to go again.
Yeah, I guess you do. I guess that you still have to have the love of the game. I mean, that obviously, as good as you are, whoever you might be, you still need to wake up in the morning and want to get out on a golf course.
Definitely. And I think that's why I'm still doing this. My 18th year as a professional this year. And I do still have a love for the game. I still have a drive to want to, obviously play well, compete, win. And I think that's what keeps me going.
You talk about you've been on the tour now 18 years. Very interesting because there are a lot of younger ladies who are making their mark on world golf at the moment and getting younger and younger as it goes along, hence last week's victory as well.
Yeah, the young guns are here and they, when they come out, they're ready to win straight out the gates. And I think that's what's so impressive about women's professional golfers. The girls that come out, they're ready to compete. It doesn't really take them a year or two to find their feet, which I felt was the case when I first started. But I just think it's with the way everything is now, what we have available to us from a younger age, coaching, nutrition, training. It prepares them to be a professional golfer, from the age that they're 15, 14, 15, if that's what they want to do. So they're training as professionals back from that age already. So I think that's why they come out the gates and ready to win when they do.
You had a kind of similar start to your career as an amateur and then into the professional scene, and you got a win early on. I mean, talk about Lottie, was it Wood, who
Yeah.
2 weeks ago was an amateur and then goes out and
hmm
wins her first LPGA Tour championship and a professional debut. I mean, that's like, wow, only two women have ever done that in the last 50 years.
Yeah. I think it's when you first turn professional, you still have a bit of that amateur mindset of, going for everything. And as we say, you don't have any scar tissue yet. Over the
Yeah.
years, this game builds up scar tissue, unfortunately. And, as you get older, you have different responsibilities, and, that adds another element into it. And I think that's also why, when I turn pro and that you still come out. Like I said, I mean, the amateur mindset is almost just go for everything. And, some weeks you'll get away with it on golf courses and some weeks you won't. And that's when you start to learn, the ins and outs of professional golf. But yeah, it's very impressive what she's doing. I mean, she won as an amateur in Ireland, finished third at the Evian Championship, a major, and then obviously winning her first event last week. So she's definitely an unbelievable player.
So clearly what you're saying is it makes a hell of a difference when you're putting for dough or you're putting for a medal.
As much as you don't want it to, over time, it definitely starts to make a difference. I
Yeah.
think the best in the world that don't have that on their minds are very successful, but at some point in your career, it's going to happen, and I'd say 70% of professional golf have to go through that.
It's a great level of the game. I mean, when you think about, you take a Tiger Woods, he was running away with every single golf tournament, and then he went through a slump, and you look at Nelly Korda, who was also this time last year was winning everything back to back, and then she goes through a slump. It's just a different kind of thought process that as a professional golfer in particular you have to get up and continue going forward all the time, isn't it?
Most definitely. I think the difference, obviously, with golf, same as tennis, if it's an individual sport and, you have a team around you, obviously, to rely on and, lift you up and work with you through those times. But, compared to a team sport, if you're not having the best time and you're still part of the team and you can sometimes get away with it, if you're playing soccer or rugby or cricket, you can sometimes hide in the shadows, but when it's just you out there and you go out there and you shoot a number and obviously we're going through a slump, it feels like it's completely on you. So I think
Yeah.
that's also where golf is a little bit different, but it's part of it, So there's far more lows than highs, but the highs definitely make it worth it.
You know what it feels like because you've been in the situation that I'm going to describe right now. You win the Open, you come back as defending champion. Clearly, there's so much more press to do. There's so much more pressure on you. There's so much more of your time taken up outside of what you actually have to try your best to do and focus on. How do you think she's going to come into the week with all of this hype around her, and as you say, having won a professional tournament as an amateur and then winning last year, and I guess she won't be the favorite, but I mean, people will be watching out for her. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it is tough. The year after I won everything I had to do and manage my time, it's all about time management. And ultimately, you still want to make sure you give the practice and the prep enough time. But it is tough. I think Lottie has her head on her shoulders. And from the interviews I've watched, she tries to not let the noise around her affect her too much from, the interviews I've seen. So I think she's pretty much got her head on her shoulders and seems wise beyond her years.
We've seen on the men's tour how, and I use the word sledging in cricket, how the guys try and get into each other's heads. You've got Rory McIlroy chirping, and you've got Scotty Scheffler and Sander Schauffele and all of those guys. Is it similar at all on the LPGA tour? And if it is, do you think they'll try and get into her head going into the tournament? Did they try and get into your head when you'd won?
No.
You came back to defend your title?
No, not at all. I don't feel there's any of that, to be honest. In a women's golf, I've never experienced it and never really seen it. Other players, maybe, the media try to create some stories, but definitely not from fellow peers.
Okay, so this is a joint LPGA and European Tour event. I guess 18 years ago, I don't even think in your dreams you would have thought $9.5 million in prize money for a ladies' golf tournament.
Yeah, it's unreal. How the majors in general have elevated over the last few years, and every year they just keep putting the money up, and obviously it's what we want, it's what we believe we should be playing for. So we're just very thankful that we're getting to do it, and I'm thankful that I'm playing in the era that I am at the moment.
You're listening to the edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. We'll have more for you after these. Hi, I'm Louis Karpas. Join me on the next edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room as we catch up with Alon Rock, the CEO of Pickleball in South Africa. Pickleball is celebrating its one-year birthday in the country. We'll find out how things have gone, how it's progressing, and what we can expect going forward. That's Alon Rock on the next edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. Join me there. Let's talk about for you're in a pro-am today. What is the course like?
The course is great. It's tough. It's along the coastline. The wind is gonna blow, but that's what you want. Surprisingly, it's quite undulating for a links golf course, and it feels like there's a lot of blind tee shots and forced carries on the eye. But it's only really maybe like 160 to 180 to carry certain bunkers. But then at the same time, if you choose to push it down a little more, you can bring more into play. So you got to be very strategic this week. Par fours, I feel if you try to take it on, you can be rewarded, but the par fives and then yeah, the par fours are tough, particularly the finishing holes. I mean, we're hitting woods. Yesterday, I hit 3 wood into my 16th hole, hybrid into my 17th hole, 7 wood into 18. So the finishing it's going to be tough, and you're going to have to be on your game.
And course management, I guess, is always important, but on a links golf course with the undulations, even though you say there's not that many, is absolutely a factor.
Yeah, particularly in links golf, you have to, as I say, plod yourself around, try hit it into the right places, and just be very patient. Because in links golf, you're going to get bad bounces, and you're going to hit bad shots. They're going to get good bounces too. So you just got to stay particularly patient in links golf.
I was interested to see that the course was opened in 1898. Like a bottle of wine, obviously it matures. I mean, how does a golf course mature? And can you, as a player, actually feel that you're on a golf course that's been around for 120 years, 125 years?
I think, the links courses, because they're so often built along the coast and the landscape, and they build them to go with the landscape. That's the beauty for me of links golf. It's just created with the land that you have. It's not trying to build extra things in. I didn't realize it was that old. Maybe when I go out and play today, I'll take a little more note of it. But yeah, it's an amazing and a very tough golf course. I think definitely one of the tougher links courses I've played.
Okay, well, only look at it today. Don't look at it tomorrow. Here's another thing
Yeah.
for you to look at that you might or you might not know. Did you know that you can see the sea from every single tee from every hole?
I didn't know that, no. But
Yeah, so it
yeah,
provides a view
it
of the sea
does.
from every single
Yeah.
hole on the golf course, which brings me to, I guess you could be lucky and you can be unlucky, depends on your tee time. But either way, you're going to tee off early and you're going to tee off in the afternoon. I guess you off
hmm
tomorrow morning, what, 8:30 something ish?
Yeah.
Um,
8:30 SA time, 7:30 here. I've
yeah.
got good tea times and like around 12:30, so I feel those are really good tea times. We're going to get some rain tomorrow, most of the day for everybody. So I think the forecast looks pretty fair. These sort of tournaments, if you get the wrong side, it can be very penal, but from what I've seen, hopefully it's similar for everybody.
And I guess the golf course is in pristine condition, as they always are on links golf courses, particularly for big events like this.
It is. Obviously, also with being so close to the coast, the greens are a little slower than what we used to, but you have to keep them at that speed because of the wind, but they're very true.
They don't get quicker like an American course, do they? I mean, when the sun bakes down to them, by the time you come to Sunday afternoon, the stint meter is like way up there. I guess on a links golf course, bit of rain and whatever can actually slow them down a bit.
Yeah. If anything, they'll normally get slower. That's where the RNL is so good. They send you the information every day to say what the green speed is, and they try and keep it very consistent and fair.
Take us back to the major that you won, to the Open that you won. In the back of your memory bank, what do you take from that into this week or into any tournament that you play?
The fact that I can pull off a win in the biggest moment, that in the most precious situation, and that's what I need to always remind myself. Particularly, obviously, I say in the style that I did it, having the lead, losing it, going into a playoff, and getting the job done. So you're always going to have that in the memory bank when in the pressure situation, knowing that hey, you've done this before, and you got to back yourself.
I know anybody can win, but when you look at the field and who do you think is going to be right up there?
I think you always obviously have to nearly quarters world number one, Lydia defending, Gino Tituku, best player in the game right now without a major. Hopefully myself, and I
Sure.
think Lottie is definitely she's going to contend. I do believe that.
I noticed that you're out with I don't even know if they speak English, but I mean it
Yeah.
looks like a Japanese and a Korean. I mean,
hmm
how does it affect you at all if there's no conversation, or how do you prefer to chat or not to chat?
To be honest, in these sort of tournaments and the majors, there's so much concentration that needs to be had. I'm out in a great group. I know both players well, and their caddies, great guys. So I mean, there'll be the odd conversation, but when you're playing in the elements that we're playing in out here and you're out there for 5.5 hours, yeah, and you're trying to just stay focused on you and what you're trying to do. So there won't be too much conversation.
When you go through the week leading up to an event like this, I guess you try balance the golf and your relaxation. Take us through a day or two, what it's been like and how you're planning on the next couple of days so people can understand what you go through as a professional.
I got in on Saturday into the UK, so I like to be able to play 9 holes, so 9 holes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, today kind of thing. That way you don't feel like you overplay. And then on either side, you just make sure you get the amount of practice that you need in. So like an hour on the range, an hour on the putting green, and like again, an hour on the chipping green. And then at the same time, yeah, you need to make sure you do your recovery, you have physio, gym. Like yesterday, I left the house at 6 o'clock and only got back at 4. So they're still very long days. But I'm in a house this week with my husband, my parents, my caddy and her husband. And then we had a nice braai last night. So that's the way in the evenings that we just try to decompress and feel like we live in somewhat of a normal life.
Yeah, that's amazing because I mean, people don't see it like that. They think you guys live in five-star hotels and you go down to
Yeah.
breakfast and there's a big buffet of breakfast and then somebody picks you up from a car and drops you at the golf course. I mean, you do need a normal life.
Yeah, we do. I mean, this week is a little bit more luxurious than most. We do have the courtesy car transport, but most weeks it isn't. I prefer not to stay in hotels, do Airbnbs. That way I have some space and able to cook. So we try that way, make it as normal as we can. And also when you stay with other players or caddies, it's a way of also just getting away from it at the end of the day. Like I say, cooking up a dinner and not feeling like you're just stuck in a hotel room.
So just being a human being, I guess that helps
Yeah,
as well. And I mean, the more
it
relaxed
does.
you are, the more content you are with everything that's going on around you and not having to worry about other factors, whether they've made the bed nicely or they've come and taken away the the room service. It helps as
Yeah.
well when you get out there on the
Yes,
tee
it
in the
does.
mornings.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does.
So let's just talk a little bit about going into a major. The plans today, you're in the Pro-Am. Anybody sort of famous besides yourself and the other golfers that you're playing with?
I don't know who is in it. It's kind of just used as another practice round and a way of seeing the course, and just basically getting a little more game time, particularly in the windy conditions.
Can you over practice? I mean, you mentioned an hour
hmm
before on the drive and then
Mm.
putting green and all the rest of it. Do you and can you over practice?
Yeah, you can definitely over practice. I think it's something I've learned over my career not to do. I'm good at saving my energy, knowing, if I'm hitting it well and I've hit it on the range for 40 minutes, I walk away. I'm not going to stand there for 2 hours and just beat balls for the sake of doing reps. My whole feeling and philosophy is if I've hitting it well and completed the tests that I give myself on the range, and the same thing, I do my drills for putting. I give myself a test, 6 foot test and a speed test. If I complete that, I carry on. I think the biggest mistake is sometimes players, particularly when they come out, is they watch what other people do and they think they need to do that in order to be successful. But you need to find your way and what works best for you.
A couple of other South Africans in the field. Cassandra Alexander,
hmm
78th in the LPGA at the moment. Somebody who can also get out there and shoot some low rounds.
Yeah, Kaz and I actually played practice round together yesterday, which was cool. And then Paula Rito finished top. There were 3 spots available at last week's Women's Scottish Open, those that hadn't qualified, so she managed to get in via that. So it's good that we have 3 people representing South Africa this week.
Yeah, it's great that we've got up and coming golfers, not necessarily just the two of them, but I mean there are
hmm
others as well. I mean Paula's a little bit younger than you, or almost the same
hmm
age as you,
Yeah.
but there are some good young golfers coming through the ranks in South Africa, and that must be great for you to see because I mean you do want to leave a legacy. You don't want South African lady golfers just to disappear by the wayside.
Of course, it's what you want. Kaz she finished top 10 at the British last year, and we played together in the third round, which was also very cool for us. And it is good to see, a few girls in college in the US are playing well and starting to come through. So I'm hoping, within the next 5 years that we'll have a few more players on the LPGA.
Do they reach out to you at all when they see you when you play in the same tournaments as them?
Yeah, the younger girls have, and I've tried to do my best at also offering my help because sometimes it's difficult. You're shy, you look up to people. It feels a little weird asking for advice, but I've learned that that's the best thing to do. So I try and make myself available if they need to ask questions and feel like they can approach me.
What's the rest of the year look like, and when do we see you back in South Africa on a course playing in a professional tournament?
The rest of the season, we're halfway through our season. We'll play this week, have a week off, and then I've got the next run of tournaments in the US. And then we go to Asia in October and then finish the year off in the US. And I'm not sure of the schedule next year. Unfortunately, with them changing the dates of the Winter Open, it clashes with one of our biggest events in the US. So that's been a bit unfortunate that I haven't been able to get back and play the Women's ESA Open. So I'm not sure, unfortunately, when I'll be back to playing in South Africa.
Well, you know that there are many of us that are wanting to see you here and want you to come and play here. Just on another note quickly, and I don't want to get into the discussion because I don't think it's fair to ask you about live golf and whatever, but what I would like to ask you is, I guess Louis has done brilliantly to get a tournament here at Steyn City next year, and that's going to be a massive boost for golf in South Africa, men's and ladies.
It sure is. I love golf. Obviously, there's been a lot of separation in the men's game, but anytime we can get professional golf in South Africa, as South Africans, we're gonna love it and we're gonna watch. And I was also really managed to get an event there and promote golf. That's all we want. I remember at Royal Joburg this year that the Alfred Daniels going to just be moving there for a year is very exciting for Royal and the membership there. So we're gonna have a good amount of tournaments that decent players, particularly people in Joburg, will be able to go watch some really good golf.
Have you played Steyn City?
I haven't, no. When I'm back in South Africa, I tend to just my coach is out at Serengeti. I kind of just go out there and practice and then play the odd round at Royal. So I don't tend to play too much. But I have heard it's really good. And I did watch when they played, the European co-sanction events when Sean Norris won there. I watched that on TV.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolutely magnificent golf course. I did a voiceover for television for the South African Disabled Golf Association that actually played ahead of the Sunshine Tour field there, and it just looks magnificent. It really does. And I guess when you talk about it, and forget about that both of us are South African and we want to promote South Africa, we do have some of the most magnificent golf courses in the world in this beautiful country of ours.
We do. People ask me, especially when I'm traveling, particularly people from the US, oh, what's golf like in South Africa? And I'm like, we are so spoiled for choice for such a small country and the amount of good golf courses we have. And I think that shows why, obviously, our climate and the golf courses that we have is why we've had so many successful players, particularly in the men's game, and hopefully the women's game will continue to grow.
Well, let's hope come Sunday afternoon, you don't need to go through the trauma that you did last time you won the Open. Let's just make sure you're leading by 3, going up to 18th. Nice, easy tap in on the 18th, and we can all cheer another Ashley Bahai victory. Ashley, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, chatting to you. All the best going out there tomorrow. Our eyes will be on you, and that's not pressure. You have yourself a wonderful week of golf.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
That's Ashley Bahai, South African golfer. Thanks, Ashley. Great to chat to her as all in Wales for the AIG Open. It used to be called the British Open, and now tell me I need to call it the AIG Open. Anyway, I think it's still the British Open. AIG Women's Open gets underway tomorrow. We will update you through the course of the weekend, as well as review it on Monday, hopefully with Ashley lifting that trophy. That's tonight's edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. As always, be nice to each other. Until next time, bye for now.